Very good morning to you. As always, we say thank you for making that very important decision to join us here on the fourth business day of the week. I'm William Mofwegbe, and we say again, this is how we introduce Global Morning, and we're delighted knowing you're doing this with us. And that delight comes from two persons, shared my parts. My colleague, Jumai Manson, is also very grateful knowing that we are not doing this all by ourselves.
Yes, we are not. And that was why I decided to do the drum roll.
Right.
But you know what, let's quickly go on a very quick break. Global Morning continues shortly. Stay tuned.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m., Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Hello, thank you for staying with us on the weather forecast. An overnight system lingered over the northeast, bringing early morning rains in parts of the region. Parts of Yola and Jalingo recorded 49 and 41 millimeters of rainfall respectively. These rains are expected to keep temperatures relatively cool in this region. Now looking ahead to Thursday, cloud cover is expected to increase as this weather system continues to influence conditions, with morning thunderstorms expected in parts of Kaduna, Adamawa, Taraba, as well as the north-central cities of Nasarawa, the Federal Capital Territory, Kwara, Niger, and the coastal belts of the country. By afternoon and evening hours, these storms will develop and intensify, extending to affect parts of Borno, Adamawa, Taraba, parts of Gombe, Bauchi, Kaduna, Kano, Kebbi, the north-central cities, down to the southern region of the country. The storms will likely be accompanied with strong gusty winds, so it's important to take necessary precaution. I am Theodora Itzum. Thank you for watching.
All right, you're welcome back. And yes, it's Global Morning on Global Television. And we has mentioned before, I am Jumai Manson, just to put it out there so that he can be jealous this morning. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful Thursday. And really, they say it's a throwback Thursday.
Yes, it is.
Remember back in the day, but no. We're just going to remember what's happening up in front of us. And of course, how are you all doing today? Hope you're well rested with all of these political issues up and about, speculations, allegations, expectations. Well, we're all in and we're all out for it, aren't we?
Well, the fact of the matter is, this is no longer that kind of time where you say it's for them, it's for politicians,
it's for us.
It's for us now,
all of us,
right? Because
yes.
our country, as somebody said, you may not agree with politicians on a number of issues, but it's your country. You have your people here, and you still live here. So one way or another, you are a part of the system.
Yes,
and that's why yesterday I spoke with one of our guests, and he said, look, we may not appreciate it enough, but people are becoming more aware now. They're becoming more involved. Their sense of belonging or ownership is increasing by the day.
Yes, it is.
People are now realizing that, look, I need my PVC for purposes beyond bank transactions.
True.
I need to cast my vote. People are going the extra mile to, as it were, relocate their PVCs because they want to vote at the next election. There are those who are now saying, look, I've never voted my entire life. In fact, I've never had a PVC. And these are people who are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and things like that. So we are seeing that commitment, really. And I believe from the trajectory so far, it's going to increase as we inch closer to the election.
Yes.
But in all of this, you see, there's something called nationhood, right? Nationhood is that sense of knowing that you are part and parcel of a nation. Now, here's where we get it wrong most times. Because you do not agree with the president on certain issues, You do not agree with whatever political party is in power at that point in time. You are not comfortable with the economic policies. You're not cool with the state of the nation.
Yes.
And then you say all of the unprintable things about the country. But what you do not realize is that those elements are only transient, which means they are not going to be here forever.
No.
In the case of Nigeria, the constitution is clear. No president stays in office for more than 2 terms of 8 years combined.
Very true.
So you may not like one president at a particular point in time, but that should not be basis for you not to love your nation. You know, back in the day, I read an old version, I should say, edition of Tell magazine, as it then was. I think it was from 97, 98. So there was this exclusive interview with Femi Kuti. I can't forget. I was a small boy. I met it in my big sister's house, where he said, look, we have the resources to move our entire family away from this country, to the US, to the UK, wherever it is. He said, but if everybody did that, who is going to stay back here to fix it?
Exactly.
Who is going to stay back here to say, this is our country? Conversely, if the people in those countries, those better climes where you are going to, were to also leave those places, who would have stayed there long enough to fix those places? So I took that away as a small boy growing up, and it has lived with me the entire time till this point, to say that, look, it may not even be about the country. It can be about an organization. It can be about your own family. It can be about certain kind of things, including projects. If we live in the middle, have we not come too far to give up now? That's the case of Nigeria. You know, it's almost embarrassing and sort of weird to say that Nigeria will be better again. I mean, that conversation is tough to have, because for people who have not seen a Nigeria that worked, it's difficult. I had been in a class as a young boy where a professor was teaching about what he called the heydays of Nigeria, Professor Edi Aragbe, distinguished professor, I should say. But here's the thing. He talked about how that in public universities in this country, Juma Mansing could have as much as half a chicken for lunch, at least once a week. On government, not from your parents, not from you. Juma Mansing's laundry is done every weekend. All you just have to do is when you come back from your last class on a Friday, your laundry bag, you drop it at your door mouth. The laundry guys come, they pick it up, they do the laundry, they return either last thing Sunday evening or first thing Monday morning. Because the idea is students must go to class in fresh clothes. And then I spoke with another professor who one time was an acting VC in a state university, and then a lawyer. And both of them confirmed it. One of the persons, I was interviewing them on TV at the time, and this story is important so we know where we're coming from. He said he is a 1985 law graduate in the Federal University. In fact, he was in the same law class with former Deputy Senate President Amo Agege. He said it was such that at that time, I could bring my girlfriend, who was not an undergraduate, who was not a student in any school at all, to come eat in my university cafeteria, as long as I was a bona fide student. All of this was paid for by government. And then I can remember a judge, a guy in my class, asked, what happened to those days? No answers were provided. And do you really blame Professor Iragbe? Do we not know the answers to those questions? But that's to say that if we had been able to do it before, we can do it again.
Yes, we
the
can.
only challenge is we probably have not made up our minds we want to do that.
Yes, and you know, back in the day, education was held in really high esteem.
Right.
People that were in school, they were really, you know, that was why the government...
Our graduates were respected.
Were respected. They took proper care of them. Like, you know, when we hear issues like this, it's very heartbreaking because we now see the gap and the vacuum when it comes to educational system in Nigeria as we speak. But I think if we put our minds to it, if we are determined, they say determination is key. If we put all our minds to it, I'm sure all of these systems, structures can still work again. It's just that we're too laid back, or will I say greed, or will I say a lackadaisical attitude when it comes to issues of these major happenings in our lives. We don't take it as serious, and that is why we are where we are at this point. But back in the day, it was a big deal to be in the university. It's a big deal because, you know, once you're graduating, straight up there's employment opportunities waiting.
Options,
different types of options. But like you said, if everyone takes their families out of here, who would actually fix the system? Who are the good ones that are left behind that have that empathy and sympathy to make the most and make the best of this country, Nigeria? And that is why, you know, it's not enough when you say, oh my goodness, the country, there's nothing to write home about the country, systems are not working, I hate this, because people use those sort of words. I hate this present administration. What is it doing for me? What have I got in return economically, when it comes to education, when it comes to food, when it comes to subsidy? Nothing is working. People use that. But you owe it to yourself, you owe it to Nigeria, you owe it to the future generation of your children to at least cast your vote, because that is your power, that is your mouthpiece, and it makes a difference. So it's very important we understand that. So you're not doing any harm to anyone when you stay at home and watch movies or wash your clothes and you don't go out to vote. No, it's a disservice to yourself and to mankind if you do not come out to cast your vote to make a difference. And hopefully it might not go away at a snap of a finger when you come to these abnormalities that are happening around, but it's a step. And of course, it's a one step at a time. One step, a drop of water at a point makes a big ocean. So one step at a time. It might not come in as quickly as we want, but we know that there's a process and we're getting somewhere. So it takes you and I. It's not, like you said, it's not them anymore. This is us now. Every one of us together to make that difference, to make Nigeria great again.
Of course, Nigeria has to be great again.
It has no choice.
But great people also eat, don't they?
They do. Yes, they do. And now, when you just mentioned eat now, Jay Manson is a bit hungry now.
Can imagine.
Not bit. I am hungry. I need breakfast. And that's why it brings us to the Taste and Texture segment on Global Morning. Let us quickly go to the segment of Taste and Texture and let's see what deliciousness we have in front of us. Stay tuned. It's Global Morning. Do not go.
Hello everyone and welcome to Taste and Texture. Today we are going to be preparing boiled plantain and egg sauce. For the boiled plantain, we'll be needing the following: ripe fresh plantain, knife and clean pot, water. Here is the process of preparing boiled plantain. Wash and cut or dice your fresh ripe plantain into few pieces. In a clean pot, add your diced and washed ripe plantains. Add water, salt and cover to cook for a few minutes. Drop and drain the water, and then after a few minutes peel the boiled plantain and set aside. For the egg sauce, we will be needing a few fresh pieces of raw eggs. In a clean bowl, break your raw eggs and whisk. Get your clean frying pan and add oil to fry. Add your pepper, mix and stir for a few minutes. Then add Maggi and other seasoning of your choice. Then stir and add corned beef. Optional. Also stir your already whisked eggs and finally add parsley and stir it. Our boiled plantain and egg sauce is ready. That's it on this episode of the show. I hope you will try this recipe at home. Join me again on Taste and Texture next time. I am Sadia Yakubu. See you again.
All right, you're welcome back. And of course, if you're just tuning in, that segment was Taste and Texture. And that is plantain and, of course, fried eggs, which is delicious, by the way. Right, Uyi?
Of course, it is healthy, homemade.
Yes, it is.
What can I say? I just don't want to get to that point where Juma begins to challenge me on my culinary skills. Let me keep those in the bag.
Don't worry, I won't. I'll save you this one.
I'm grateful for protecting me.
You're welcome. What are friends for? What are friends for?
So much to talk about on the program today. We're looking at politics, elections, and of course 2027, as we already see it unfolding right in front of us. APC primaries making a lot of noise across the country. There are states where we are now understanding at least we have 10 of those states where some aspirants say that, look, we're not interested in consensus. We all have to go to the field and prove our mental. Let's not do this consensus thing. You might come to the field, you come to the field, everybody come to the field.
Exactly.
Let the best man win. And we hear such states are 10. But again, who do we blame? Is it the Electoral Act 2026 that says that you have two options as a political party in terms of emergence of candidates? It's either you do consensus or you use direct primaries. And we have seen that being done. We saw Delta, we saw some places, of course, where they were counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 50, 51, 52, 500. So we saw all of that. And the videos are all over the place.
Yes, it is.
You see, we have that. Then we also have politicians, especially those who have a lot of clout, wield a lot of influence, governors in particular, who feel extremely entitled. But we do hope this does not worsen the very fragile states of political parties, especially the APC.
Yes, especially the APC, like you mentioned. But for as much as you're coming all out, it shows that there's going to be transparency and accountability when you say that. So we understand the numbers. So no one hijacks anything. And we know that, okay, this is the individual in whom we want and whom we are well pleased with. So it shows that. So it's a two-way thing. But at the same time, for me, credibility, transparency, accountability is key in all of this. As long as we have all of those, and fairness, very important. As long as we have all of those streamlined, I don't think there is a problem, basically.
Of course. Well, what more can we say? Like I mentioned, there's so much to engage on this morning on the program. But let's take a break now so Ramsey Enoch Agbo can have his way with Heart to Heart Inspirational.
Well, my name is Ramsey Enoch, and it's good to have you join us today on Heart to Heart Inspirationals. And let's get you inspired because we value you. You are very important. You mean so much to this generation. Do you know why? Because if anything happens to you on this journey of destiny, it means something has gone wrong with a generation because you are a potential destiny helper. But then, what step are you taking? All right? Where are you? What are you doing? My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Small steps still move forward. We love big breakthrough. A lot of people want to be big men overnight. They just wake up overnight and they want to be big men, not knowing what it takes to be a big man, to be a big woman. Breakthroughs are things that we are supposed to enjoy, but then, does it just fall from heaven? No. One thing we need to understand is that there are things we need to do to really be successful in life. How much work are you putting into yourself? We need to know that life has so much for us. The truth is this: we love big breakthrough, yeah, that's true, but we underestimate small obedience. Small obedience. And that's the reason you see a lot of people make resolutions and they don't keep to it. You see a lot of people do their to-do list for the day and they are not keeping it. Discipline and obedience to small things. You know, little foxes that destroy the vine. You may think those things are small, they don't matter. But then it makes you accelerate. It makes you move forward in life. We celebrate overnight success, but ignore daily discipline. How many people are disciplined today? Even CEOs, they are not disciplined today. A lot of people are not disciplined today. Business owners are not disciplined today. A lot of people have eaten their capitals. Yes, a lot of people. I know of people who ate their capitals. Some even went into debt. These are people that were making millions. I know. I'm not talking abstract. These are people that I know. Where are they today? What happened? Discipline. I've even walked to someone before to say, hey, come on. Do you know what? I know it's your business. I know it's your company. I know you are in charge. But then, instead of just putting your hand into the business money and taking out of it every day, place yourself on salary. Be a salary earner. Let the business pay you. Oversee it. Let it pay you. You don't just wake up without discipline. Oh, you have a need. Bam. Accountant. Yes, sign this check. No. It's not done. Discipline is very important if you want to be successful in life, if you want to make progress in life. Discipline is very important, not just discipline alone. Obedience and discipline go hand in hand, all right? You need to be obedient, all right, and you need to be disciplined. Yet, I want to let you know that nothing great happens suddenly. It happens consistently. Consistency is key. Whatever you're doing. Okay, let me give you an instance. Why do you think anywhere you go to look for a job, whatever you want to do, people look for someone who have experience? Because the more consistent you are on a particular thing, the more professional you become. But a lot of people, because of the issue of diversification, multiple source of income and all of that, these theories have made a lot of people not to concentrate on a particular thing, not to be consistent in doing one thing and become a professional in it. A lot of people are slaving today because they were not consistent in what they were doing. A lot of people are not employable today because of inconsistency, disobedience, and indiscipline. Three major issues: indiscipline, disobedience, and inconsistency. These are thieves of time. Progress, like they said, is not always loud. It's not loud. Sometimes it looks like getting up again. Sometimes it looks like staying committed, all right, when nobody is clapping. A lot of people. That's why, initially I talked about on Heart to Heart, before I've talked about social media. Everybody want to be clapped for these days. Everybody is going on social media to live a fake life because they want to be clapped for. Of what profit is it? It's deception. You're deceiving yourself. I only pity people who copy this online so-called designed people who design themselves to be what they are not. People must not clap for you all the time. Don't wait for the clapping. Don't wait for people to clap for you. Sometimes when walking towards your successful days may not require people clapping for you, or sometimes growth feels boring because when it gets, people don't like work. That's the truth. A lot of people don't like work. So sometimes when you're walking, it looks boring. When you are striving to be successful in life, sometimes it looks boring because it's just like you're driving on the road and it's only you on that road. You're going, no car is coming from behind, no one is overtaking you. You're just going, only you. Sometimes it looks boring. But boring is where mastery is built. Do not despise small beginnings. Small steps compounds. Small habits accumulate, and of course, small disciplines create massive outcome. Just be consistent in it. Every expert you see today was once a beginner who refused to stop because so many things happen to stop them. When you're starting a business from the scratch, it is very difficult. If you are not consistent, disciplined, and obedient, you run away. Yes, of course. That period, that growing, that incubation period, if you're not careful, you run away. A lot of people have run away from businesses like that. Then when other people start doing it, and during that boring moment, that lonely moment, then when they come out successful, they say, well, why did I even leave that business? Because you were not consistent, disciplined, and of course obedient to the rules of the game. Success have a rule. It has a rule. Yes, you need to abide by the rules of the game before you become successful. Breakthrough don't just happen overnight. That kind of breakthrough that you're looking for doesn't last. Yes, a dribbling tap can fill a bucket over time. Don't you know? Provided there is consistency, it's dripping. Pim, pim. All right, let me give an instance. For instance, you get to the hospital and they give someone drip, all right? There is drip on a patient in the hospital. You see the way it drops, pim, pim, pim. It will appear as if it's never going to get finished. But just give it a time. That drip will finish. Everything will finish into the patient's body. But it's dripping. It takes patience, all right? Not because the drops are big, but because they are consistent. It's dropping. Because of the consistency, whatever you're doing, please ensure to be consistent. If you really want to make it, if you really want to succeed, focus on the progress, not the perfection. Celebrate effort, not just outcomes. Show up when motivation is low. You might not see. Let me tell you something. A lot of people don't celebrate upcomings. That period where you are struggling to be successful, when you're struggling to grow, a lot of people just look at the ignore. Some will not even take you serious. And that's why you need to be careful the kind of relationship you keep. I pity for people who push aside people that were with them when they were in their incubation period, when they were trying to become successful in life, the people that encourage them. Somebody may not even give you all the money, but the encouragement coming is enough. Consistency turns into ordinary actions into extraordinary results. Yes, by the time you're consistent, it turns ordinary action into extraordinary results. All right, keep going. Small steps taken daily will carry you further than big intentions that was never acted upon. A lot of people have big dreams, but they never acted on it. Where are they today? They are nowhere to be found. Well, you need to dream big and you need to act on the big dream, no matter how small, on a daily basis. Be consistent, be obedient, and of course, what else? Be faithful to whatever it is you're doing. Many thanks. I'll come on your way again. My name is Ramsey Enoch. Bye-bye for now.
All right, you're welcome back. And of course, that segment was Heart to Heart Inspirational with Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Hope you were well inspired with that segment. At about this time is a newspaper review segment, and we're going to start with the first paper of the day. It's the Daily Sun. And beside the nameplate, it says 2027 Governor Sim Fubara withdraws from APC primaries. And that's on page 27. Did I see that coming? Oh, yes, I did.
Of course.
I saw that coming. And below that, it says Fragile Peace Universities under threat by FG. And that's from ASU. And that read is on page 6. Now, the star story on the Daily Sun reads 2027. Jonathan warns of looming danger. And there's just one rider there, and it reads, says, darker days ahead if court continues to determine outcome of elections, hinges faith on May 26 court ruling. And below all of that, on page 25, it says, presidency moves to rewrite 26-year telecoms policy, eyes 1.6 trillion naira revenue, 2 million jobs. And on page 26, it says here, court decides ADC, AP others registration June 5th as Atiku, Amechi, Hayatuddin gets ADC's screening. On page 8, it says here, Nigeria now produces 10,000 passports per hour. Decades of delay ended with centralized system. And as from the minister, is that a step in the right direction? Fantastic.
Yeah, of
no
course.
more delays, no more postponements and all of that.
We're good now.
We're good now. At least that sector is not doing badly at all. The immigration sector is not doing badly at all.
I saw you, Juma, how I had to renew my passport, and it took just a week to get it. In fact, the dispatch guy had to come drop it off here at the office. That was in December of 2024. So, for someone who has understood the process a little over time, I can tell that practically there's a substantial improvement.
Yes, there is. I can tell you that too also. And of course, still on the Daily Sun, it says here on page 4, police confirm abduction of 2 CRIN staff in Ibadan. And if you're wondering where all of these stories, to get more details, you have to go get a copy of the Daily Sun to be well abreast with the major issues making rounds on these headlines. And next we have the Daily Trust. Over to you now, Uwe.
All right, top left corner first. It says NDLEA records largest seizure of 480 billion naira worth of drugs. This is quite interesting. This time it was a combination of Nigerians and Mexicans who got busted by the anti-drug agency, and we hear that the street value of this seizure stands in the neighborhood of 480 billion.
That's a lot.
Yes, of course, it is a lot of money. All right, 9 persons die in Kano, Ondo, Gombe, Lagos road crashes. Assembly primaries, longest serving speaker, Barakat Suduagan's daughter, orders wane. Well, what can we say? I saw Honorable Duagan a while ago, a story about her appreciating her people, her supporters and her team for giving her that ticket to throw her heart in the ring once again.
Yes.
All right. APC governorship primaries, Fubara withdraws as aspirants battle in its states. Jumai said we saw that coming. So
yes, we did.
It's really not a piece of breaking news at all.
Yep.
ADC presidential tickets. Atiku, Amechi, Ayatollah to no fates. May 25. The countdown has begun. That will be in 4 days' time. Monday of next week precisely. We have 3 more headlines. Bottom right. Voters votes will count. That's INEC chair there reassuring Nigerians. So for those of you who have misgiving about the voting process and whether or not your vote will count, Professor Josh Amubuiton is dispelling your doubts now. All right, no uncertainties. Nigerian airports on red alert over Ebola. Yes, UNICEF and indeed the United Nations have said, look, there's the likelihood that this Ebola outbreak will spread beyond DR Congo. Therefore, we've got to have our guards up, never let them down. So I'm sure that's exactly what Nigeria is also doing right now.
Exactly.
Because they say once bitten, twice shy.
Oh, yes.
We were here in 2014. We do not want affliction to come a second time.
No, we do not. That is why experience is the best teacher.
Right.
So it's better we take these precautionary measures. It's very important. Put them all in place. People should be guarded. And of course, DR Congo is not very far from here. We saw what happened and we saw what played out during that time of Ebola. But hopefully the needful will be done and it will not spread into Nigeria by God's grace.
And I dare say, with regards to Ebola outbreak, we must now activate the spirit of late Dr. Daredevil, all right?
Yes.
Because she was the hero of that victory that we won.
Yes, she was.
About some 14 years ago. All right, let's, I should say 12 years, really. Just one more headline to go on the front page of Daily Trust newspaper here, bottom left. It says, airlines raise fare amidst rising fuel price. You guys want to change Juma's plans? Don't do that now.
Don't change my plans.
We even thought they said aviation fuel price had dropped.
Yes,
so that raised some hopes even up to yesterday.
It rose my hope. I was excited and happy about that. But now with this I do not know now. I do not know. Okay, but let's just fingers crossed.
Be prayerful.
Yes.
All right. Please read up details on these headlines from the Daily Trust newspaper, today's issue of it. Let's now turn to the New Telegraph for you.
All right, the New Telegraph, and above the nameplate, it says here on page 28, CBN banks DFI's credit to SMEs up 30.07% to 199 billion naira. And it says IPO or Tetola plans $100 million investment in Dangote refinery. And here it says here, below that, it says on page 4, Kalu's backs one China policy, urged Taiwan-China reconciliation, and that's on page 4. On page 2, it says Tunji Ojo's passport insurance delays over with centralized system, says Nigeria produces 10,000 booklets per hour. And on page 3, it says ADC screens Atiku Hayatuddin for presidential ticket. And on page 4 and 6, it says Ebola fan activates preventive surveillance at airports. Vaccine could take 9 months, WHO warns, as death toll rises further. And of course, the star story on the New Telegraph, which is on page 3 and 27, it says insecurity, rising attack on schools. NUT threatens strike, says enough is enough. And we have some riders there, and it says, as NLC warns that nowhere is safe, Abbas calls for timely rescue, presides operation, kidnapping, deprecable, condemnable act. That's from Bishop Allah Kugbe. And of course, on page 6 and 27, it says, party politics, APC aspirants reject results, declaring David Mark's daughter as winner. And the writer says, alleges results written in an Otukbo hotel. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now?
That's on precision.
That's on precision. Okay, moving on now. It says SDP crisis. Gaban-led NWC expels Gombe, Adebayo, Agunloye, others. And on page 2, it says, we're not a united nation. My primary goal is to unite Nigeria. And that's from Peter Obi. And it says, River Gober, Fubara meets with Tinubu, withdraws from race. And it says here, some truths best born quietly. And I completely agree. And thanks supporters, pledges to work with whoever emerges party's candidate, as Tony Cole also quits race, okay? And it says here, oil sector cabal, foreign exchange syndicates behind rising terrorism, and that's from our dear President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That's on page 26, and it says, alleged deliberate attempt to disrupt nation's peace. Our bureaucracy mustn't be bottleneck, but bridge to innovation, efficiency, presidential civil servants. And at the foot of that, researchers say global skin cancer cases could explode by 2050, and that's from researchers. And that's on page 30. And basically, those are all the major headlines on the New Telegraph. Go out and get yourself a copy and be well abreast with the major issues making rounds. Next is This Day. Over to you, Uyi.
Above the nameplate, we have a headline with 4 riders. It says, unfazed by new inflationary concerns, CBN retains MPR, that's monetary policy rate at 26.5%. Also, impact of Middle East crisis largely, rested on Nigerian economy due to benefits of prior policy reforms, price pressures, transitory. Right. What's more, says 33 banks emerged with stronger financial soundness indicators after recapitalization exercise. Declares Apex Bank committed to FX stability, doubles down on prospects for $1 billion daily turnover. CPPE hails retention of policy instruments. But we hear that there are Nigerians, especially those in the business space, who are clamoring for reduced rates, right? Nigerian Air Force destroys terrorist hideouts in southern Tambors, Mandara Mountains on page 7. That's some win for us here. Fubara withdraws from APC Guba Primary, says decision difficult but necessary, quite frankly. Declares he's faced immense pressures, difficult choices. Toye Cole also stands down Guba bid. S&P upgrades ratings for Access, Bank of Industry, GTB, Stanbic, IBTC, Standard Chartered, UBA, Zenith. Well, that's some good health of these banks. With 2 riders, enhances Fidelity, FCMB. Dangote Refinery targets September initial public offer, Otedola promises $100 million private placement. Those are all the headlines we have for you from This Day newspaper. You know what the drill is. Read up details for yourself. Juma has headlines from the Daily Times.
All right, now, thank you, Uyi. The Daily Times, and it says here above the nameplate, it says, Rivers 2027, Fubara withdraws from APC government primaries. And on the business segment, it says, CBN holds inflation rates at 26.5%. as economy faces Middle East test. And below the nameplate, which is a star story on the Daily Time, Nigeria not a united nation. My goal is to bring country together. And that's from Obi. And the writer says, vows to uphold tenets of true federalism ever since a secured, prosperous state. And it says here, coup, we planned to cut power to the presidential villa. That's from Suspect. And on the foot of the Daily Times, it says 2027, I'll scrap federal character principle if elected president. And that's from no other than Rotimi Amechi. And basically, those are all the headlines on the Daily Times. Go out to get yourself a copy and be well informed. Next is the Nigerian Tribune.
Atiku, Amechi, Yayatudeen appear before ADC presidential screening panel. Well, we understand they've been screened, and of course, the NDC has also screened Peter Obi. So they've been given a bill of clean health, or clean bill of health, whichever one works for you. Nadeko launch, Tinubu alleges plot to destabilize Nigeria over economic reforms, promises to address many political demands, reforms. Nigeria, Republic of Liars. That's according to Professor Wole Soyinka. Did we change the name of our country at any point? Maybe we need to talk to the professor and Nobel laureate. CBN retains lending rate at 26.5% as MPC battles persistent inflation, global uncertainties. The big one, APC governorship primary, 13 incumbents set to return unopposed. As Fubara withdraws from race, Alia Kefes face challenges. Oyo aspirants insists on direct primary. Anxiety over disqualification of Plateau governor's rival. Battle royale in Kwara. We understand the governor there, Abdul Razak, has already tapped a successor, but it appears that's not going down with many of the stakeholders, especially those who also have an eye on the government house in Ilorin. Yewada meets Tinubu defense consensus deal. Otedola plans to invest $100 million in Dangote refinery through private placement. All Nigerians who have access to the refinery's IPO and be parts owners. I'm sure Juma is listening now. All right, so what more do we have? NDLEA arrests Nigeria-Mexico drug syndicate, seizes 480 billion naira meth in Ogun Forest. As always, we have a bit of health from here. Mixing edible cannabis alcohol may impair driving more than expected. That is coming from a study, which details you can read up on page 8. Gunmen abduct 2 CRIN workers in Ibadan. And now you say Ibadan again. With 2 riders, government moves SS3 students writing WAEC to a neighboring school. Makinde signs executive order to regulate vigilante security groups in Oyo. Hopefully the governor doesn't get distracted by the politics of 2027 now. 2026 Hajj, Saudi authorities to translate Arafat's sermon into Yoruba, Hausa, 33 other languages. Quite innovative. On page 25 is where you can read up those details, all of them on the Nigerian Tribune today. All right, next port of call is the Nigerian News Direct.
All right, now the Nigerian News Direct. Above the nameplate, it says Otedola plans $100 million investment in Dangote refinery, and that's on page 5. And on page 12, it says Echocho loses re-election bid as Kogi East APC leader hails process. And on page 3 it says 26 years after NCC engages stakeholders, commences review of national telecommunications policy. And the star story on the Nigerian News Direct, and that is on page 16, it says CBN retains monetary policy rate at 26.5%. And here on page 5 it says Seplet AGM shareholders welcome Elumelu's appointment. And on page 17, it says Lagos Heritage Sites record over 94,000 visitors in 1 year. And on page 12, it says NDLEA uncovers methamphetamine factory, seizes 480 billion naira contraband. And on page 18, it says Fubara withdraws from APC gubernatorial primaries. And basically, those are all the major headlines on the Nigerian News Direct. Next, we have The Punch, giving you some very punchy headlines.
The Punch on the front page today opens up with an editorial. It says, establish Southwest Security Trust Fund now, with an exclamation mark. So that's indicative of how important and urgent this is. However, I just sent a nameplate. It says, primaries, Fubara withdraws as APC governors emerge sole aspirants. Let's look at headlines from the left corner of the front page. Oyo abduction, Abbas demands rescue as military deploys jets. Political thuggery killing Nigeria's democracy. The former president, Goodluck Jonathan, talking on page 17. Coup trial, accused colonel rejects military court. So what does he want? Civil court? Well, I'm sure the military authorities know how to get around that. Tinubu, Soyinka, Ladoja relieve Nadeko battle at Okbadokun's book launch. CBN holds rates as organized private sector. OPS flags manufacturing risks. Incidentally, I'm not the only one who would notice that the Punch newspaper doesn't have much of headlines.
No, it doesn't.
This morning, but please, that shouldn't be an excuse for not reading up details for and by yourself. The next port of call is the Guardian newspaper.
All right, the Guardian newspaper, and that's the second to the last paper on our newspaper review. And below the nameplate on page 3, it says, ADC screens Atiku Amechi Hayatuddin as NDC clears OB. And on page 3, it says, Airlines raises base fares to 200,000 naira as Jet AI hits 2,650 naira per liter. And on page 3, it says, Otedola stakes $100 million in Dangote refinery as investor demand exceeds $2 billion. And the Star story on page 6 says, abduction fears trigger panic in Southwest schools and, of course, in communities. And below that on page 4, it says, FG urges calm, assures Nigerians of enhanced Ebola preparedness. Okay. And on page 4 again, it says, ASU raises fresh concerns over delayed implementation of 2026 impact. On page 5 on The Guardian, it says, INEC reads Riot Act to vote buyers ahead of Ekiti Gobber polls. And that's on page 5. On page 6, it says, Fubara others withdraw from Gobber race, cite party unity irregularities. And the side of the Guardian newspaper says, Tinubu orders MDAs to adopt digital system as 38 ministries go paperless. And that's on page 29. On page 8, it says, school proprietor jailed for life over defilement of pupil. Yes, and that's a step in the right direction. And at the foot of The Guardian, it reads, CBN retains lending rate at 26.5% as Cardoso bets on raising confidence. And that's, of course, the business page, and that's on page 15. And, of course, the last paper of the day is the Vanguard. Over to you now.
The Vanguard begins at the very top of the day masts, front page, of course. It says, Dangote activates Solokola deep sea port plan, engages hosts communities. A brilliant way to get off. That's on page 20. Nigeria will not fall, go on. Leadership's tested in times of crisis. That's from our President Jonathan. And nothing is more true than that. Kwara governorship poll. Abdulrazak names preferred successor. But has that preference gone down well with other rivals or contenders? We'll find out on page 38. 2027, Jonathan gets PDP waiver, emerges to Raki Cam's sole presidential candidate. And then what's more? Oyo school abduction, 2-year-old toddler among 46 victims. This heart-wrenching news came through yesterday. So you're wondering how that child is being nurtured at this point in time, given the circumstances under which these criminals have him, and who knows, his mom. All right. That's a headline is loaded with a bunch of riders. Communities list names, ages of victims. 25 pupils, teachers still missing in Oyo. That's according to the police. IGP deploys additional detectives. We are deploying resources to secure return of victims. That's according to Defense Headquarters. It's a national disgrace. PFN, of course, no less than that. Atiku to Tinubu, you can't govern by obituary statements. That's profound. Nigeria losing its humanity. Peter Obi, OPC to federal government, governors, equip us to confront perpetrators. But can we do that without legal instruments or framework? So many questions going unanswered. Federal government suspends planned closure of Eko Bridge on page 38. 33 billion naira fraud. EFCC arrest convicted ex-minister Maman. Yeah, that picture didn't look really good. Then, of course, we have just 2 more to go. APC primaries, 70 National Assembly members lose return tickets. Off the top of my head, I can imagine 2 of them in my state who fall within this bracket. But details are with you on page 5. They told Tinubu I planned to kill him, become president after our inauguration. That's former Vice President Vice President Shetima. He said this barely 48 hours ago during the launch of the autobiography of General Yakubu Gowon, retired.
That's a memoir.
Well, as it stands right now, what more can we say? Those are all the papers and the headlines?
Yes. Right.
Well, that's what we'll leave it here, everybody. Remember to read up details. Plus, and very importantly, do not fail to remember as well that all of the headlines we bring to you here are exactly as published by their respective publishers. Global Television, as a broadcast media entity, or the team here on Global Morning does not in any way contribute to them. We'll take a break now, and shortly, your Gochuku Mabuda will be here to bring you Social Bars. Up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m., Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television. At Erojim Shoe Factory, excellence starts from the ground up. Located at number 1 Pound Road behind Nigeria Correctional Service, Aba, Abia State. We produce 1,500 high-quality shoes every single day. Paramilitary shoes, safety boots, desert boots, ankle shoes, back-to-school footwear. All crafted with state-of-the-art equipment and built for strength, comfort, and durability. For reliable footwear that stands the test of time, choose Erojim Shoes for better product, strong steps, smart style. For inquiries, call 091-264-53399 or 070-3009-3944
or 080-6573-8374 or call 081-3167-3668. Email info@aerogym.com. Website www.aerogymdesign.com. Aerogym. Walk with confidence. Walk with pride.
When social media speaks, we listen and we bring you the extra. It's your one-stop shop for trends, tweets, and the tea everyone's sipping on. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and get that extra dose of what's shaking the internet.
And on the issues making wave on social media to your doorstep.
Social Boss Extra, where the trend meets the talk, only on Global TV.
Good morning, Nigerians and viewers around the world. It's time to look at buzzing issues on social media. So some days ago, the Oyo State Police Command has denied media reports claiming of a fresh terrorist attack in the Ogbomosho area of the state. In the afternoon, a video showing some students running helter-skelter following reports claiming that armed bandits had attacked the areas and invaded the vicinity of Are Ago High School, Ogbomosho, made the rounds on social media. Responding to the video, the command said it immediately deployed surveillance and patrol teams to the scene. Its operative met with the school principal, Akambi Ruth, who explained that the alarm originated from information allegedly circulated among some students who claimed that certain unfamiliar faces had been sighted behind the school fence. Preliminary investigation, however, revealed that the individuals involved were an officer of the Nigerian Security in Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, attached to the Kwara State Command, Ilori, alongside two other civilians who were found in a Toyota Venza SUV. The individuals were questioned and explained that they had merely visited the lady among them in celebration of her birthday. In the course of verification and due diligence, relevant NSCDC authorities in Ogbomosho were equally contacted to confirm the identity and status of the officer involved. The command said it was further observed that during the interaction, an altercation reportedly occurred between some teachers and the visitors, which inadvertently heightened suspicion within the school premises. Consequently, some students began spreading unverified claims to neighboring schools and surrounding communities, thereby escalating panic and tension across parts of Ogbomosho and Ajawa town before the actual fact of the incident were established. Let's take a look at that very shortly. Well, the Oyo State Police Command wishes to categorically state that there was no bandit attack, invasion, or any form of insecurity or security breach in the affected area as falsely portrayed in the video. Well, this thing, Daniel Boala recently said everyone should protect themselves. So I think this is part of it. And, you know, I don't know. I understand that, yes, the Constitution and the law, yes, says you can actually self-defense. But then again, what is going to happen if a policeman should see a cutlass in my vehicle? If I'm driving and the policeman sees a cutlass and I say, this cutlass is for self-defense just in case anything happens, I bet you'll be arrested. And again, how do you self-defense yourself from people who are well-equipped? These people are holding machineries or ammunitions that are even more than some of the ones we see with security operatives here in Nigeria. How do you defend yourself? With sticks, with knife, or with cutlass? So this is part of self-defense, to be very honest. And I think by this time, this school, I understand that education is good, but I think this school for now, with the unrest happening in this environment, should please just lock down for some time before maybe after some time, they can actually come back to school. Well, the comments we had today, a lot of them were very, very negative. So we are just going to go straight into the conversation for today. And I'm not alone today in the studio. I am with Uyi Obomfuegbe. Good morning, Uyi.
A very good morning to you, Ogachukwu. Good to see you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining today. So we're talking about insecurity in the country. And of course, yes, we have one right now happening in Oyo State where students, primary school pupils were kidnapped alongside teachers, and even a few days ago we heard that one of the teachers were beheaded there in the forest, and these people are still holding on to their words, saying that they demand a particular amount of ransom if they can release the students. Now this one, the police is coming to calm everyone down, saying, don't worry, Bomosha is calm. But then what do you say when students see suspicious persons or movement in their environment? I'm just going to quote Dan Mbwala again. He said, everyone should self-defense, should defend themselves. How do we defend ourselves when it comes to these people? These people are holding sophisticated weapons. How do we defend ourselves? And how long are we going to keep having this? I said this sometimes to somebody, and I said to a colleague, and I said, can we just stop everything about election? Hold election for now, and can we just face insecurity squarely in our nation? Because I don't know why people will go out for election and their mind is not even safe. Like, they are not safe. Their mind is helter-skelter. They don't know if maybe they will return back, or they don't know if they return back, something else is going to happen. How do we self-defense? That's number one. Number two, I asked you this question some days ago. I said, how do we let the government know that this is a matter of urgency and not just the way we are playing, the way it is right now?
So, Ogachukwu, I sit here and my head is spinning with many thoughts chasing themselves, right, on my mind. But here's the fact, right? It turns out Daniel Mbwala, one of media aides to President Tinubu, is not the first person to make that call or remind Nigerians that they have the right to self-defend. We had seen, somebody in the stature of General T.Y. Danjuma, who said, look, as it stands right now, there's no other option. Go out to defend yourself against invaders, against criminal elements of any kind. But you see, what this does, amongst other very bad things, is that it highlights the bad place we are in as a country. It highlights how that we are in desperate times. That's what it means. Or otherwise, you ordinarily do not come to a point where you are having the conversation about Ogachukwu can defend herself, we can defend himself. We don't have to come to that. Because Nigeria's constitution, 1999 as amended, is very clear in section 2 about how that the first line of priority for government is the protection of lives and property. So if the constitution pulls that responsibility squarely in front of the government, why then do we need to be having the debate, as I'd like to call it, about whether or not we have the right to defend ourselves? Of course, by nature, there is something called survival instincts. You do not need the government to activate that feature, so to say. But again, Nigeria is not in a very good place regarding insecurity. And what makes this conversation very difficult to have is that you're talking about something happening in Kwara. You're talking about something happening in Oyo. You're talking about something happening in Ekiti and Ogun. Kidnapping almost on a daily basis. It is the effrontery of these criminals, for example. It is the boldness with which they do it. It is the nonchalance. It is the, if you like, extraordinary courage. That's daredevil approach to it. It's as if the whole place is broken down, so there's no repercussion. There's no consequence. But do you blame these pupils? Do you blame these people in this community? They say once bitten, twice shy. They've heard stories. They've read. Some of them have come close to being victims. So at the sound of anything that's like a gun being shot, they're going to take to their heels. My people say, if a madman has slapped your mom in the past, when you see a mechanic, you run. I mean, with due respect to all the mechanics in the world.
That's my reality right now.
Right.
I've been slapped by a madman.
So thank God I'm not a mechanic, at least not on the program this morning.
Okay.
But they also say, generally I've heard people say that if you've been bitten by a crocodile or if you've been attacked by one, you're likely going to run very far when you see a lizard because of the similarity.
Yes.
All right? And nothing teaches human beings better than experience. But does this remind the government in any way that there's so much of work that needs to be done? I read a piece yesterday of some persons calling for the sack of the National Security Advisor, the Chief of Army Staff. What's the basis for that sort of call? They are saying, look, these guys have failed the country. These guys have not done their work. These guys have not proven that they even deserve to be in those offices. And what we must understand on the final note, Ogochukwu, is that it is the Nigerian people, it is the taxpayers in this country who pay these individuals. So we are going to be making the mistake of our lives. We're going to be making the mistake of a generation if we think that they are doing us a favor. It's pretty much like in a private organization. You hire somebody. They must bring value for whatever you're paying them, because it has to be what my friend calls value for value. But again, we must now sit down and ask ourselves, are we doing enough? This is beyond the president calling a meeting of security chiefs. We have to move beyond rhetorics. And like former Vice President Atiku Abubakar said yesterday, President Bola Tinubu cannot govern Nigeria with obituary statements.
All right, thank you so much, Uwe. That's so
Always.
much to say. You know, some days ago you said something about the government being overwhelmed, and that's the situation. That's what I'm seeing right now. It's more like the security operatives, they are all overwhelmed. The government is overwhelmed with the situation. But I'm asking myself again, why would the government be overwhelmed with a responsibility of taking care, which is the first responsibility to make sure that they protect its citizens? Why? Anyways, I feel like this issue has not really been faced squarely as it should be, because we've seen that happen in developed nations around the world. We've seen how they face issues squarely and they get to the roots of it and they make sure that it doesn't occur again. Even if it's going to occur, not in this way. Because after the Ibadan attack, the Oyo attack, we also heard one that happened also in Maiduguri. And, you know, it's everywhere right now. It's happening in the east, in the west, in the north, in the south. It just haven't gotten to your door yet. But it's happening everywhere. So no one is safe. We all need to take matters to our hands. The government is the first point of call. Please help us. That's what we're asking. Help Nigerians, help the students. These people are the leaders and future of tomorrow. You don't want to lose your leaders or future of the next, the next generation should be able to, work well when you are gone. Okay? All right. Thank you so much, everyone who was part of this conversation. This is the size of our conversation here on Social Pulse on Global Morning. I'll be leaving in the hands of Jumai and we are the ushers into the discussion section of Global Morning. So stay with us. I am Ogochukwu Mobino, and good morning, Nigerians and viewers around the world. Bye for now.
When social media speaks, we listen and we bring you the extra. It's your one-stop shop for trends, tweets, and the tea everyone's sipping on. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and get that extra dose of what's shaking the internet.
And on issues making wave on social media to your doorstep.
Social Buzz Extra, where the trend meets the talk, only on Global TV.
In an age of breaking news, you need a trusted source that prioritizes accurate, factual, and unbiased reporting. This is AM News, and I am Ubong Usoro.
On Global Television, our news is rooted in verified and authoritative storytelling that keeps you educated, informed, and enlightened on all the issues that matter to you. I am Sadia Yakubu. This is Midday News.
You can trust our multi-platform news broadcast real-time and fast-check stories for all the big local and foreign headlines round the clock. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. This is News Express.
Our array of anchors delivers the news to our teeming viewers, breaking it down with context and perspective. This is News Cycle on Global Television. I am Anieti Patrick.
And the flagship news is your hub for the day's most engaging stories. This is News Prime, and I am Jumai Manson.
Did you miss any of our news rounds? No worries. Catch up at 10 p.m. and midnight, 7 days of the week. I am Mukhtar Kasim.
Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We're active across all social media platforms at Global TV NG.
Global TV News, accurate and unbiased. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe.
Hello, thank you for staying with us on the weather forecast. An overnight system lingered over the northeast, bringing early morning rains in parts of the region. Parts of Yola and Jalingo recorded 49 and 41 millimeters of rainfall, respectively. These rains are expected to keep temperatures relatively cool in this region. Now, looking ahead to Thursday, cloud cover is expected to increase as this weather system continues to influence conditions, with morning thunderstorms expected in parts of Kaduna, Adamawa, Taraba, as well as the north-central cities of Nasarawa, the Federal Capital Territory, Kwara, Niger, and the coastal belts of the country. By afternoon and evening hours, these storms will develop and intensify, extending to affect parts of Borno, Adamawa, Taraba, parts of Gombe, Bauchi, Kaduna, Kano, Kebbi, the north-central cities, down to the southern region of the country. The storms will likely be accompanied with strong gusty winds, so it's important to take necessary precaution. I am Theodora Itzum. Thank you for watching.
You know, a while ago, Juma and I, at the top of this program, talked about how that people are becoming more aware politically, especially now that the electioneering process has kicked in. However, another thing that has raised awareness and consciousness in this country in the last few years, especially these past months, is the level, I dare say, heightened insecurity in this country. For a few days now, we have pretended like we have not, we're no longer paying attention to places like Borno and Zamfara and Co. because of the trend we're now seeing in Nigeria's southwest, from Oyo to Ogun to Ekiti. Of course, part of the North Central, in this particular case, precisely talking about Ilorin, has also become a hot spot of some kind. And Juma, one of the aspects of this whole sad development that is disturbing is how schools come under attack. It's quite disturbing because if you look at the trajectory over time, the last 1 year and counting,
Yes.
it is schools that are being attacked. And when you see that happen again and again, you are going to see that the education system is being destroyed. It looks like something that is targeted, something that is scripted, something that is strategic, as evil as it is.
Yes, it is. And of course, very scary when it comes to the path of the parents, knowing that these versatile areas, you know that you do not know what the next target will be, especially when it has to do with primary schools. Now that a 2-year-old has been abducted, you know that it's from nursery to primary and now secondary schools. It's just unfortunate this is where we are in the country. And it's very scary for most parents. Some, if they have their way, their kids can just be homeschooled.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Just be homeschooled.
Life first.
Life first, because if you're alive, that's the only way you can excel in life. But if you're not, how? So it's just unfortunate that this is what it is. But a lot needs to be done when it comes to insecurity. It's a major problem. And that's why I've hammered and I've said it over and over again. Once we nip that particular vacuum that is there, it's a vacuum. Once we can close up that vacuum of insecurity, okay, I think all other things will follow, because it's very important that we understand that it's a serious problem. And back in the day, we always thought that it's northerners, is their business. Of course, it's in the north, Borno. What would take me to Borno? But now we can see them all over, spread all over. Imagine Oyo State Capital. And now with all of these things, it's really scary. I think a lot needs to be done in that area. A lot needs to be done.
It's quite disturbing, because what we're seeing now is assurance after assurance after assurance.
But where's the result?
If it's not coming, exactly. If it's not coming from the police, it's coming from the military. If it's not coming from the military, it's coming from the media handlers of the president, or sometimes directly from the president himself.
Yes.
And you realize that even the opposition side of things is now leveraging this very ugly trend to push its own narrative. For example, just yesterday, we saw how that it was all over the news. The former Vice President Atiku Abubakar was telling our President Bola Tinubu that, look, you can't lead a people, you can't govern a nation, all right, using obituary statements, because it just simply means that you're waiting for people to die and then you release a statement.
Exactly.
They die, you release a statement. And you see, that's where leadership becomes very difficult, because part of your work, I mean, in fact, if there's anything that's important in your job description, it is to protect lives and property.
Yes,
of course, the president is not God. The president is also human. But again, it's clear, I mean, regarding principle, to whom much is given, much is expected.
Yes, it is.
All right. So if you have put your hands on the plow now, you can't look back, because if you do, you're not fit. And that also simply means that at the point where we're spending so much to fight insecurity, we must also now look at the books. Are we getting our money's worth? Are we putting our money where our mouth is? Because, do you mind, there are trillions. Since Boko Haram heightened this country, there are trillions that have gone into the fight. We must look at that, because you see, there's the economics of insecurity. I mean, there's data all over the internet about it. There's the economics of insurgency, and Nigeria very sadly has fallen into that bracket. So we must have specific people, whether in the military space or in the intelligence, if you like, leadership, that must be held accountable to say, look, what are we getting for all of this? We saw Dr. Omole, who wrote a book on the former president, now deceased, Muhammadu Buhari. And if you watch some of his interviews, you hear some things he says based on the people he interviewed, real life people who served in the late Buhari government, including former DSS DG, Mr. Bichi, and all of the things that he shared with him. He spoke with several people, I mean, high-ranking officials from that government. And when you hear some things to say about the military, you hear some things to say about defense, about our budgetary process, about the very nasty and unprintable things going on in that space, you can't sleep. Now, why is this important? It's important because when you say you want to fight insurgency, in 2026, it's not a matter of the conversation we're having here. It's not so much about the broadcast by the president. Of course, one will happen later this month, by the way. There's another one for June 12th, and the big one is on October 1st.
Of course.
But the point here is, we must be able to find a confluence between what we're spending on defense and the result we're getting. If what we are spending, on a final note, cannot prove to, in practical ways, protect our people, then we're fooling ourselves.
Exactly. And you've just spoken so well. Our guest yesterday, he said something. He said, if we cannot fight insecurity, do not make false hope or promises. Just come out and say,
this is where we are.
This is where we are. This is it. We cannot go beyond this point. And then that's where values worth comes in, value for money. As much as you're putting in so much money in this particular angle of insecurity, and if it's not yielding fruit, I think we should tilt towards somewhere else.
Right.
One of our guests that we had that spoke about artificial intelligence, he said we can actually use artificial intelligence to actually curb this menace of insecurity. It will help. So let us look at different angles. We should consult in various areas. I like the fact that the United States and, of course, Nigeria, they've come in together, that collaboration to bring down the ISIS commander and some numbers of terrorists that have actually been killed in that particular combat that happened.
Right.
Okay? But at the same time, we keep hearing numbers, but yet we keep seeing something different. It doesn't correlate, they are not in line.
Right.
So it's very important that we understand that if we are not forging ahead when it comes to curbing this particular issue of insecurity in Nigeria, I think we should look towards another direction, or we should tilt towards somewhere else to make a difference in order for us to actually fight this. Because seriously, I said something that insecurity has taken a toll not just on Nigeria, but come on, we families. It has displaced a lot of individuals. Look at the internally displaced persons that we see. These are individuals that their source of livelihood is where they have been, when I say catapulted from to another state. These individuals had a source of livelihood. They were doing very well for themselves. They were farmers, they were herders, they did a lot, they were independent. of themselves. But now it takes a toll on a man now to be dependent on the federal government. How many things can you get? Sometimes all of these NGOs come out, but really, is it really enough? That's the question tag. Is it really enough? Does it actually solve the problem at hand? People are, if you look at it, these individuals who are displaced are tired. Most of them want to even go back. Okay, if they perish, they perish. It's fine. But at the same time, with all of these happenings, of course, we saw that gruesome video of the teacher that was beheaded in Oyo. That is, it's scary to see. And we do not know. We do not know. These are cases that we hear about. How about the ones that we do not hear that are unaccounted for? Individuals that have traveled on the road and they've been kidnapped. You'll be shocked. A lot. If you will be shocked to hear the numbers of individuals who are in captivity as we speak. These are things that we do not know and they are unaccounted for. It's just unfortunate. If there is no fudge way when it comes to insecurity, I think we should all just bring it out on the table. For me, I do not like false hopes. Just tell it to us how it is so we can tilt towards a different direction and know how to curb this particular menace. For as much as I encourage state policing, because, you know, we said it's direct contact, we can get information from Otumba that came and spoke well on state police.
The PCRC gentleman.
Yes, exactly, that came up and spoke about it, and he made us understand that these are individuals who are close knit to the individuals of that particular state, and they can help you solve this particular issue of, you know, being your brother's keeper, being an investigative individual on your own and trying to solve this particular problem. But at the same time, when we're spending so much when it comes to insecurity and it's not yielding the fruit, it is, but not as much as we want, or not as much as we want to see or want to hear, then it's a major problem.
I totally agree, really. But there was something you highlighted a while ago, and that, in fact, did strike a chord, the IDP camps. You see, a philosopher once said, if you do a thought leader, really, says, if you do the wrong things long enough, they'll become normal. And that's why they say don't normalize wrong things.
No, don't.
You see, as it stands today, we have made it a part of our lives to have IDPs. Now, you see what makes it concerning. These are not refugees. They are IDPs, which means they are internal.
Yes.
They are citizens.
They're Nigerians.
Who have been displaced for no fault of theirs. And that's the reason they are often called those who have been displaced internally, because this is not another government that has come to displace them. They've been displaced on their own soil. So the question is, while on the one hand we're fighting insecurity, what efforts are we making to shut them? Because that should be the goal ultimately, to shut down IDP camps. The idea is not to leave them there. And to think that we now have IDPs away from their homes, I mean away from their states altogether. Do you know how it feels, Jomai, for somebody who is from Borno, from Yobe, from Adamawa? All right, that's the home they know. That's where God placed them.
That's the life they know.
So even if they are going to travel the world, but this is home ultimately.
True.
All of a sudden, they are thrown to Edo State.
Exactly.
Because at that point in time, it is not half about where you're from or the home you know, as it is about to stay alive. And that radically changes their whole life. Now, because you can go to your home and sleep on your comfortable bed, you can never relate. And it's not your fault.
No, you can't.
Because you were never caught in that web. So I'm asking myself as I sit here on the program this morning, on a scale of 10, what are the odds that the government even thinks about any efforts or puts a strategy in place to ultimately shut down these IDP camps in phases? I don't see that happening because there are two problems majorly. Again, there are forces that do not want insecurity to end, and they are all over the place. They are politicians, they are in the military, they are in defense, they are in business, they are everywhere.
Oh, yes.
They do not want it to end. And that's the reason I keep asking, by what metrics did former Chief of Army Staff Buratai tell Nigerians, or at least federal lawmakers, that it will take 20 years to overcome Boko Haram?
Yes, he said that.
Right. And then that's the first problem. The second problem is that there are NGOs that benefit, non-governmental organizations. You can call them foundation, you can call them non-profits, whatever it is, but they benefit from this problem, this strategy that has befallen our dear country. Therefore, it has become a source of livelihood for them.
Yes, it is.
It has become a money spinner. So if we end this now, how do we continue to attract grants from foreign donors? You see how entangled these people have become. I mean, the victims, the real victims, of course, by extension, Nigerians. Because we may not be from these places, but we have people we care about, we love, who live in those places. On account of schooling, on account of work, on account of marriage, we have people in those places. So this conversation, again, it's far more beyond obituary statements.
Yes,
I borrowed those words from former Vice President Atiku Abubakar.
Yes, and well said. For me, I think IDP camps are long overdue at this point.
In terms of closing them?
In terms of closing them, it's long overdue. Like for individuals who are in IDP camps, what are the arrangements that have been made to start up their life again? Or what is the plan?
Right.
But for some, they're just there. I told you, one of our colleagues, Edikan, who is our London correspondent now, we went to an IDP camp.
Was it at Durumi area or something?
Yes, at Durumi. It was nothing to write home about. I will tell you that for free. And then I said, with all of these, it wasn't well kept. It was horrifying.
That was just you and Edikan, a few hours.
Exactly.
Yet people have lived there for years.
People have lived. I couldn't stay there. I was wondering, what is this? You could see how the place, the stench that came out from there. People were there and they were like, this is what they go through. I was like, oh, then on TV, why is it portrayed as if you're having an amazing time? He said, yeah, because we portray what we want individuals to see.
Right.
The nice buildings, but truly when you go in there, you'll be shocked with what you're going to see there. And it's just unfortunate. And a lot of things are happening when it comes to this. I keep hammering on it because it's an issue that should be looked into, really. The IDP camps at the moment, they are nothing to write home about. Individuals are now helpless instead of being hopeful that one day they will go back and start their life where it stopped before. But I don't see that anytime soon with this insecurity here and there. So it's just unfortunate. But I think the needful needs to be done. I think being a patriotic Nigerian, still be hopeful. But someone will tell you, Jimmy, for how long? Are you kidding me right now? But the needful needs to be done. A lot of individuals, you will not understand the psychological effect it's having, the mental effect, and that's why most individuals who are in the IDPs, because of the thoughts of survival, go into criminal activities, and you'll be shocked to know a lot. So it's very important that we do the right thing, we do the needful, and let's keep hope alive to individuals in IDP. Let's not abandon them, because most of them, they feel abandoned. They're just there. They're just living off the goodwill of some Nigerians who think about it, because there are some Nigerians are amazing individuals who remember these people.
Hospitable, accommodating, sacrificial.
Yes, fantastic individuals who actually throw that weight of support. But for how long, for how long? But a lot needs to be done in that area for me. A lot needs to be done, but we can only start by trying to curb this menace of insecurity and tell us how it is. Do not give false hope. And if we're saying these are the numbers, let us see it in practical terms. It's not just in theoretical terms, and we do not see the impact in which you're making to nip this particular issue in the bud, really.
Of course. But again, let's also highlight the fact that we're hearing that the military is gaining some grounds now. We hear that at least 175 of ISIS trainers, you know that term, trainers, I find it scary, really. These are not just terrorists. They are resource persons. They are facilitators for ISIS, not just Boko Haram, not just ISWAP, not just some bunch of criminals who parade themselves, as bandits. But these are specialist terrorists. I don't know if that
this is the height of it.
So for you to be able to train somebody on something, you might mean you have sizable knowledge already. If you want to train me on broadcasting, you've got to be a broadcaster already yourself. Of course. Right? So that's scary. 175
that's
of them.
A lot.
That's just one pack of them. So you have no idea how many more we probably have dispersed across the country. And then you have no idea how many more plans these people have in the pipeline that they were going to roll out in the days, weeks, and months ahead. So, which means there is a strategic move to populate our country with terrorists, with criminals, with all of these daredevil elements, just to whatever push the agenda that they're driving. But
I didn't hear this thing. And then we read from the headlines. I can't remember one of. There was a headline that says nowhere is safe in Nigeria. Truly, with what we're seeing now, with this, is anywhere really safe? Even the FCT, is it safe? Now, you look at what's happening in Oyo State. Imagine Oyo State. People in Oyo, I'm sure they will say, what's their business with what's happening in the north? Now you see it has that transition now to Oyo, God forbid, to so many places. I just don't want to mention it because I'm very positive that I'm sure the military will do the needful when it comes to this, and hopefully we see results as soon as possible. But at the same time, is anywhere really safe in Nigeria as we speak? Is anywhere really safe? And these criminal elements, they just don't spring up. It's a master plan. It's just like how the military, when you're going for an attack, or you're going to capture a particular place, or you sit down together. You have to map out. They're going to map out, sit down and talk about it. This side is going to be this. It takes intense planning. And these individuals, I'm sure they've been in Nigeria way long to understand and map out areas in which you can penetrate. And in fact, it's very serious. And I pray that the needful needs to be done. I really don't like talking about it, but you know what it is. We have to talk about these things.
Well, so much to talk about, really. But up ahead, we'll be joined by guests virtually from Northeast Nigeria, who will help us understand what's going on within our policy, especially as it has to do with the interface. So to say that we are now seeing between the ruling party, you can call it the incumbent, and then, of course, the opposition. Let's take a break now. All of that and more coming. Please do stay with us.
In an age of breaking news, you need a trusted source that prioritizes accurate, factual, and unbiased reporting. This is AM News, and I am Ubong Usoro.
On global television, our news is rooted in verified and authoritative storytelling that keeps you educated, informed, and enlightened on all the issues that matter to you. I am Sadia Yakubu. This is Midday News.
You can trust our multi-platform news broadcast real-time and fast-check stories for all the big local and foreign headlines round the clock. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. This is News Express.
Our array of anchors delivers the news to our teeming viewers, breaking it down with context and perspective. This is News Cycle on Global Television. I am Anieti Patrick.
And the flagship news is your hub for the day's most engaging stories. This is News Prime, and I am Jumai Manson.
Did you miss any of our news rounds? No worries. Catch up at 10 p.m. and midnight, 7 days of the week. I am Mukhtar Kasim.
Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We're active across all social media platforms at Global TV NG.
Global TV News, accurate and unbiased. I'm Uyi Agmofwegbe.
At Witchtech Cables, we don't just make cables, we deliver excellence. Our products are built with advanced technology, trusted for their unmatched quality and durability. With a wide range of cables, swift delivery, and continuous innovation, we stay ahead of the market demand. We are proudly Nigerian, fully indigenous, yet world-class. Backed by a professional team, strong technical support, and a deep commitment to customer satisfaction. Witchtech Cables is more than a brand, it's a promise. Witchtech Cables, quality cables better than the best.
Hello, thank you for staying with us on the weather forecast. An overnight system lingered over the northeast, bringing early morning rains in parts of the region. Parts of Yola and Jalingo recorded 49 and 41 millimeters of rainfall respectively. These rains are expected to keep temperatures relatively cool in this region. Now looking ahead to Thursday, cloud cover is expected to increase as this weather system continues to influence conditions, with morning thunderstorms expected in parts of Kaduna, Adamawa, Taraba, as well as the north-central cities of Nasarawa, the Federal Capital Territory, Kwara, Niger, and the coastal belts of the country. By afternoon and evening hours, these storms will develop and intensify, extending to affect parts of Borno, Adamawa, Taraba, parts of Gombe, Bauchi, Kaduna, Kano, Kebbi, the north-central cities, down to the southern region of the country. The storms will likely be accompanied with strong gusty winds, so it's important to take necessary precaution. I am Theodora Itzum. Thank you for watching.
Politics is one conversation that really never ends, especially as it has to do with Nigeria. More so is electionary year that is upon us already. We are trying to see how we can move past the noise and the narratives to enlighten Nigerians as to the reason why they must, by all means, first ensure they vote, because that's your power. It's beyond the card in your hand. It's your power to determine who leads you. Second, to have their antennas up. This is not the time to collect 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. Because one tricky thing about election, Juma, is that it gives you options.
Yes, it does.
So it gives you the option of collecting money, whatever the amount may be. Collecting items, onion, rice, oil, noodle, whatever it is. That's one option. The problem with this option is once you accept it, it's all over. Deal closed. Because you can't come back to that representative of yours or that elected officer to ask for anything in terms of good governance, delivery of the goods and stuff like that. The other option you have is to say, no, I will vote my conscience, I will do right by myself. Because whether you like it or not, 4 years is a long time.
It is.
So the question is, even if you collect 50,000 now, will it last for 4 years? No. What exactly can it cover? So we must think along those lines, because it's okay when we talk about politicians, we'll talk about INEC, but how much of time do we devote to talking about our role in this whole process? Because we make it look like citizens do not have a role. Your role is beyond just going to cast your vote. Your role starts from deciding that you will vote, of course.
Exactly.
And then how do you make that
your
choice?
PVC first.
Right, exactly, because the CVRO was on for a long time.
Exactly.
We talked
and
about
then
it time and
again. You make up your
again.
mind that, okay, I'm going to vote, I'm not going to vote. And then it starts with you following this and monitoring and ensuring that you are part and parcel of the process. You don't have to be an INEC official, but as a true Nigerian, that is, it's your right. It's not a privilege. It's not an opportunity. It is your right as a Nigerian to ensure that you can stand at the polling unit and see what is happening there. It's your right. You don't have to vote and leave and ensure that your vote is in the right ballot box and you're watching what is happening. It is your right as a Nigerian to ensure that, okay, I am putting this in, my conscience is very important in this, so I must follow through with it as a true Nigerian. It's not all about that. I tell people who say to themselves, Jumai, they all know what they're doing. No, all know what they are doing. We all know what we all are doing. And you and I will make, it's part of, your vote counts. Mine counts. Is that impact that you make that will put the right candidate there? So like you mentioned, it's not all about the 5,000, 10,000, the rice, the whatever in which you get, because at the same time, once you gather all of these things, you do not have the nerve to meet the individual and say, hey, excuse me, you're not performing. You're supposed to be our mouthpiece here, here, and here. You just allow him get away with whatever he's doing, even when it is detrimental to you as a Nigerian or the individuals around you. So it's very important that we understand these things. Sometimes it's not all about, like you said, the 5 kg of rice, it's not going to take you through 4 years.
Of course.
It's only going to take you highest maybe 1 month. If you don't eat rice every day, or it depends on how large the family is. But at the same time, 4 years, you have your worth that will still carry, and you can go back and ask questions when need be, because hey, you are a mouthpiece. Like I said, it's a two-way balance. A lot of Nigerians are now aware. They now understand that, okay, my vote actually does count.
Right.
It makes a difference if I go out and vote. It makes a very big difference on my path, not just for me, but generations to come. At least when the Gen Zs who are becoming informed and understanding our political policies, they might ask questions, what did you do? Because they're very inquisitive.
Right.
The children that are upcoming now, they want to know, okay, you were not high up there, you were not a politician, but as a Nigerian, what did you do? Did you just sit back to see things go bad? What did you do? What impact did you make? I can boldly come out and say, I got my PVC.
Right.
I went and I decided to cast my vote, and I did the little I can at that point. At least I did something. I made an attempt. I just didn't sit back on the day that was supposed to vote and decided to watch movies or cook food or have a mini party in the house. I went out to be part and parcel of the process. I was there. So at least I can boldly come out and say that I did something. I just didn't stay back. And when our generations come up and ask that question, I won't just say, well, I didn't do anything. I didn't cast my vote because I didn't believe there's no structure. Nigeria is bad. No. Well, at least that impact that you made makes a difference, and it goes a long way.
Interesting. We hear that our guest is joining us already. He's joining us actually from Yola, Adamawa State capital, northeast of Nigeria. To help us understand what exactly is the development in the policy, particularly as it has to do with the ruling party, the APC, and the opposition. Sunday Wugira is a lawyer. He is a politician as well as a public commentator. Thank you so very much, Barrister Wugira, for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. Simeon. Good morning, class.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us on Global Morning.
All right. My colleague and I will just basically engage you on some of these developments. Of course, you follow the news on a daily basis as well. But let's talk first of all about the ruling party vis-a-vis what the opposition seems to be doing. It appears that the opposition at this point in time is, pardon my language, obsessed with unseating the incumbents. Is that supposed to be the case? Obsession to unseat the current government, of course, starting with the president himself? Or are we supposed to be focused on alternatives to the economy, to health, to education, to infrastructure, to issues of finding solutions to insecurity? Are we having that sort of conversation from the opposition side of things?
Well, unfortunately, no, we are not having such a conversation. And it is very, very sad commentary on a nation that the opposition themselves, their obsession, like you rightly said, is just about acquiring power and not even providing a credible alternative. In a Senate climb, opposition political parties are putting better alternatives on the table for voters to look at critically, even though the voters themselves, are having this, unfortunately, Nigerian voters are the most docile. The powers that be, those in the opposition and those in power, the political players have mastered the art of deception and playing mind games with the voters, with Nigerians. The issue now is about religion. The issue is about region. The issue is about, it is we are supposed to be the one in charge and not those other people. So the conversation of providing a credible alternative to what is on the menu is not there, which is very, very sad. So those in government are not even saying that we are going to provide a better alternative or we are going to build on what we have already by way of consolidation, continuity, to give Nigerians a better life. Those in the opposition are not saying that, no, we can do better than this in this aspect, Yes, we concede that we have made appreciable progress in this segment, but it should have been better if this and this and this is being done, to have more better results. No such conversation is taking place. People just tell you that these people, they have not done anything. They have just, people are dying, people are this, people are that. So what different are you coming to do if you are given the opportunity? Nobody is saying that. So, and unfortunately, Nigerians themselves, they are not helping matters because they are not asking questions, which is very, very sad. So the bottom line is the Nigerian voter is the problem and not the leader.
Barrister Sunday, talking about the ruling party now, what strategies do you think is the ruling party putting in place to maintain that dominance in the upcoming election in 2027?
Well, I think manipulation is one of it. They have weaponized poverty, but there will be rice going around everywhere. There will be money. There will be spaghetti. I think that is the normal thing. That's the normal strategy. And of course, taking advantage of the Electoral Act, the provisions of the Electoral Act with regards to real-time online transmission, manual transmission, accepting ballot papers that are not signed or stamped, by the electoral and presiding officer, as it were. So these things, the National Assembly, they were manipulated into preparing a bill that will be used against them. And as we have seen, a lot of the legislators who prepared the 2026 Electoral Act are no longer, a lot of them, about 47 senators I learned, who will not be going back to the Senate because they lost the primary. So when you make laws that you know is being selfish, you might end up being the first victim. But with regards to strategies of winning election, I think they are not the ruling party and even the opposition party, I may say, they are not strategizing to win on the merit of
it. Well, I think we now need to look at the people, like you mentioned. Not every day do we have a conversation about the role of the people in a democracy such as we have right now. Just a while ago, my colleague Juma and I, we talked about how that the people must be part and parcel of the process. They must take responsibility for it and, of course, must own it. But let's now talk about civic education. It's a country of well over 200 million human beings. The bulk of these people, at least about half of them at least, eligible to vote, but whether or not they are willing to vote is a different kettle of fish. But let's now talk about political awareness, electoral, if you like, preparedness. Do we have that in Nigeria today? Because we keep referring to the US. Are we learning the process? Are we becoming more aware by the day? Are we becoming more formidable to those forces that threaten the very existence of us and, of course, the electoral process of our dear country?
There is no one single Nigerian today that is not politically aware. the literate and the illiterate, those that are living in the township and those that are living in villages, those that are living on sitting on cushions and those that are not sitting on cushions. Every one of us as a people, as individuals, we are all aware politically of the consequences of coming out to vote, the consequences of not coming out to vote, the consequences of money politics and otherwise. But I wouldn't know why and how a lot you find out that some people, I engage some people in some conversations just lately. They will tell you that, no, I am not going to come out to vote because these people, they have concluded. And I will always tell them, you see, when you refuse to come out to vote, you have lost your voice consciously. You have no reason whatsoever to complain whenever whatever is served on you on the menu as a citizen or as a netizen. People must also know that every vote, and of course we all know, we only pretend that we don't, or a greater majority pretend that they don't know. Every vote is a prayer. If you refuse to vote, it's just like you refuse to pray, and you are on your own. If you come out to vote and you vote rightly, you are asking God and having faith that with this one vote, I am changing things. Or with this one vote, I am maintaining the status quo. So it all depends on what we want. And no nation will ever have, no people will ever have a nation when the people themselves consciously refuse to take that nation themselves. You must participate in voting process. You must belong to political parties. You must demand for what is right. You must demand for due process and everything. These things, they don't come on a platter. You don't just sit down because you believe in God at home and expect that God will bring manna from heaven, and power is taken. It is never given. It is never given. And when you run away from politics, you run away from voting, you cannot have the power to complain. Because the moment you complain, you end up being stupid and the leader will just be looking at you. When you had the opportunity, you refuse to take it. What else will you do? Today we are complaining about history, we complain about poor educational standard, decadence in the health sector, absence of infrastructure or that infrastructure, poor quality job, misgovernance, and whatever. But no one will ever tell you that, okay, I am taking the steps to ensure that I come out to vote. I participate in the electoral process. Look at even the party primaries. That would tell you that we are not ready for any change. We are not ready. You will just enter a room and change right results. You go out, people will stand under the tree from morning to evening, and then nobody will ask questions. Nobody will come and say that, no, we are not going to allow this to go. And whoever they chose for themselves stand. And we desire change. We pray for change. But you see, we are just living in a fantasy land. Nothing will change without our participation. So Nigerians are conscious of this, but rightly or wrongly, they are choosing not to be bothered, not to be perturbed. And we have been paying the price over time. Even the insecurity is as a result of our nonchalance. We don't hold our leaders accountable. We don't demand for what is right. We don't ask for good governance, and we don't hold them accountable. We always go to them cap in hand, begging for personal favors, instead of demanding for service.
To participation, when it comes to Nigerians demanding for service, when it comes to all of these things, when it comes to voting process, let me put you on the spot a bit. Do you think Nigerians are voting for leaders or political parties? In your own view, that is.
It appears it didn't catch the question.
Network itself. Yes, I'm with you now.
You probably need to ask him that question again.
Okay, I said with all of these that you have mentioned at the beginning, you spoke about participation, you spoke about Nigerians, asking questions when it comes to election process and all of that. I want to put you on the spot. Do you think Nigerians are actually voting for leaders that will lead them aright, or political parties?
No, Nigerians are not even voting for political parties. We vote for our own, either in terms of religion, in terms of ethnicity, in terms of region. Political party is the last, actually. And this is, we don't critique our leaders. We don't look at them and assess them, vote them based on their competencies. Some people just come on the day of election and stand aside. Whoever approaches them with 1,000 naira, they go and vote and go back home, mortgaging 4 years, sacrificing the future of their children, undergoing hunger and deprivation for 4 years, retardation and stagnation, foreclosing good health system, good justice system, good infrastructure, welfareism for the development of the state, empowerment in terms of industrialization and real engagement for better economic standard for everyone. So once they get 1,000 naira on the day of voting, that is all they need for 4 years. That is their own dividend. They might be incited by their priests or imams to go and vote for people who belong to them, who belong to their religion, or ethnic chauvinists, or regional dissidents, if I may use that will just come and say that it is our right or it is our turn to produce leadership. You see, any nation that is practicing this turn by turn, it is not about capacity. It is not about competence. And people are just deceiving themselves. The best can even come consistently from one house. The best can come consistently from one region. It must not be turn by turn. When it comes to turn by turn, it is not about service. It is not about democratic dividends. It is about robbing palms and robbing Peter to pay Paul. That is all. And Nigerians should never expect anything better from the way and manner we practice our democracy.
The way and manner we practice our democracy, Barrister Stunday. Let's talk about the youths now. Do you think the youths are making enough impact when it comes to the election that is upcoming in 2027? Are they making their stands? Are they being heard, or they are being sidelined or subdued? Which is?
Well, the youths are the worst, actually, in the whole permutation. when you are given education that can only make you literate and not reasonable, you know, uh, uh, you are only certificated and not competent. You don't sit down and look at things. You are easily radicalized than mentored. You know, you don't expect anything good. What are the youths contributing? Any young man that comes out, he will only be ridiculed by his peers. In a Sena climb, university students, secondary school students are sacrificing their lunch. Young people out of jobs are sacrificing their lunch or breakfast or dinner to contribute to a candidate to help campaigns. They volunteer. But here, you only find young men carrying knives and daggers going around, and at the end of the day, fighting amongst themselves when it comes to sharing the daily pay at the end of the rounds. You know, they take drugs, they take enhancers to defend whatever that appeals to their fancy, even if it is against their own interest, you know. So these are some of the things. The youths are not doing anything, and they have always been used as pawns by the politicians. And that is why you see a 70-year-old man given the role of a youth leader in a political party. And the director general of his campaign organization is a 25-year-old man, young man, 25-year young man, promoting a 75-year-old man as a youth leader in his political party, when the age for to be determined, for one to be determined as a young man, is between 18 and 40 years or thereabout, or 35, depending on whatever convention one is using.
All of these that you have said, it shows that the youths are being sidelined, or they do not have that platform or the opportunity in order to thrive. Don't you think so?
Nobody will give you a platform to try. You have to create the platform for yourself. The youths have sidelined themselves. The youths have sidelined themselves. Until and unless the youths are ready to make sacrifices, to forego their today so that they will have their tomorrow, that tomorrow will never come. And they will forever be used as pawns. Nobody should expect that somebody will just come and champion the cause of the youth for them. We have to champion, the youths have to champion their own cause. I am no longer a young man. I am no longer a young man as I am today. I was a young man yesterday. I made my point, and I am no longer a young man. The young people, I always tell my children that you have to create your own future today. You have to create your own personality today. You have to create the kind of perception that you want people to have of you. You know, if you are a man of anything goes, so be it. People may not like you, but then you have to make sure that you create your own image. And the young people of Nigeria, they have failed to create that image. They are always complaining that they are being sidelined. You have sidelined yourselves. That is it. We have to call it as it is.
I know with what you've said, the youths have to create their own platform for themselves. They have to come out and, you have to sacrifice today for tomorrow. I understand all of that. With all of these various political parties on board as we speak, do you think they are carrying the youths along in this, in this race when it comes to electoral processes? Do you think so? Or most of them are actually doing the same thing I mentioned before by sidelining most of the youths, maybe because they know that they are the future leaders of tomorrow? Or what's your take on that?
Yes, on paper, seemingly there is this assurance that will carry you on board, will go with you. You are the future. Will give you opportunities. But once, twice, thrice, has that opportunity been given? So, if you are taken for a ride, what step are you taking to remedy your situation, to enforce your stance, and ensure that you get your way? You know, there is nothing wrong with a young man putting up, with young people coming together to put up political parties, a political party of their own. Have that attempt been made? Has there been that coalition by young people? You know, has there been that principled advocacy for good governance, for opportunities? We have the not so young to run act, you know, but go to political parties today. A young man can never have the funds to pay for expression of interest and nomination forms. Almost all the political parties for the presidency, you have to cough out nothing less than 60, 70, 100 million to contest. Who is that young man that can cough out that 100 million naira? In France, a 43-year-old man is the president. You know, you go around, young people are given opportunities to become leaders. Here in Nigeria, it is ancestors that you see them coming out, that are being promoted. And they are being promoted by young people, young men, able-bodied men.
Talk about the opposition, because you and I have talked a couple of times about these issues, right? As it stands today in Nigeria, is it your candid assessment that we have opposition in Nigeria? Because if you look at the APC, which of course is the ruling party, it appears for the most part they do not even acknowledge that there is opposition in Nigeria, which of course again is dangerous for democracy. What's your thoughts in this regard?
Well, the truth of the matter is, on the surface of it, we can say that we have opposition. But what type of opposition? The opposition that mostly they come out to criticize the government, criticize in court during the daytime, and at night they are on the same table with those in government, taking beer and laughing, you know, exchanging banters, mocking at Nigerians. You know, look at all the opposition parties that we have. What do they stand for? Most of them are in the opposition because they are angry. They have lost out. Individuals with wounded ego, you know, or contractors, or trading post agents, you know, holding fort for those in power in the opposition political party, you know. So, sincerely, whoever that is saying that we have an opposition in Nigeria, we have just been economical with the truth. Yes, we have so many other political parties. In principle and in theory, any party that is not in government is an opposition party. But if you look at the faces of those representing the opposition, you will know that truly there is no opposition. Because opposition is that you sit down, you critique what the government is doing, and you bring out credible alternatives. You are driven by passion, you are driven by patriotism, you are driven by the desire to serve better, to provide better alternatives to governance as been provided or has been given by the government to the people. But here, you only see people who lost out going out to come and say that, no, I was, after all, when you became, I was an instrument you are becoming. So I can bring you down. So it is all about ego. It is all about personal interest, that it has nothing to do with Nigeria. It has nothing to do with me as a Nigerian or any other person, you know. And most of them, you find out that they just scattered to create confusion, so that at the end of the day, those in power will have their way.
Barrister Sunday, I'm going to ask about strategies again. Now, what lessons do you think political parties can learn from previous elections in order to, strategize in the forthcoming 2027 election?
Well, in the first place, you can't even learn any lesson without having data. We have to study political voting patterns in this country. Normally, you find out that there are people or such people from certain areas whose voting data indicates, or voting pattern shows that they go for any party in government at any given time. Do you study that? Do you now find or ask yourself, why is this happening? Is it because there is no enough publicity, there is not enough enlightenment? Is it because they are just being commandeered into voting by someone? There are so many communities today that no one will ever go out to vote until someone says, you go and vote here. So why must this continue? Political parties must not be active only when it is election year. It is an all year round thing, But unfortunately, most of the political parties, or even all the political parties, they have nothing to sell other than candidates. There is no ideology. There is nothing, So for the whole years that you needed to reach out to people, canvass for support, get supporters, make people enlightened, get to understand that, yes, this is our stand on education, this is our stand on water, this is our stand on agriculture, this is our stand on youth empowerment and women development, this is our stand on national security, this is our stand on foreign policy, this is our stand on whatever, even inclusion, But nobody comes to talk about that. We only talk about candidates. This one, he has been this for this long. He has provided potholes for you people. He has taken away your pipe-borne water. He has created insecurity for you people. But this time around, he is going to make it right if you give him the opportunity, and people will start hailing. So, not even the party in government is not driven by ideology. So, not to talk about even the opposition party. They have no data, they have no statistics, they don't even sit down to study the patterns and behaviors of the people. No one political party will come and tell you that this is what we have as a solution. And given the opportunity, we are going to stick by this, and we want to we want everyone to take our word as our bond. This will be our commitment. And we want to be assessed at so point to ensure that we keep moving. Even when
as it stands today,
was not sophisticated, when there was not so much knowledge.
Look at this from a different angle. INEC, as we know it, is supposed to be the regulator, for want of better words, of not just elections, but even political parties themselves. We have never heard that finance was an obstacle in the way of INEC in terms of its own mandate, right? But we see a lot of malfeasance in political parties. We see a lot of rascality. We see anomaly. It's almost like normal, within political parties, even at the very top echelon of their leadership. Do you think INEC is strategically positioned? Does INEC have the will, or has it shown the will, to effectively regulate these political parties, whether on account of constitutional provisions or in light of extant laws, including the 2026 Electoral Act and all of the guidelines that the Commission continues to put out in the public?
Well, you see, sometimes I wouldn't want to be using words. INEC is also a civil service, just like a civil service body. It is rotten. Most of the personalities there are trading post agents too. They care about their pockets and the interest of their employers. So sometimes they even betray their employers once money is involved. So INEC itself, it needs overhaul. The process of bringing on board people. You have seen how criticisms here and there, damning things being said against one or another, and so that person, in order to protect his integrity, will not even say, I am leaving this job because people are having issues, perception issues about me, trust issues about me. So I wouldn't want to go into a process where I have a lot of issues with my integrity. I am backing out. I am stepping aside. Somebody should just come and do this. When we don't have such traits in people that will be given these responsibilities, we have a lot of issues. INEC itself is not doing anything. There are processes, there are laws put in place, particularly with regards to campaign funding and what have you, electoral violence and what have you. We had a resident electoral commissioner in Adamawa State that knew, who is a lawyer, in 2023 election. He knew, he was in the know that the law has provided for a returning officer. Yet, because he collected money, he went and announced, or he made declarations, and nothing has happened with him today. He walks the street freely. He has not been convicted. He is not even tried. The police are looking for him, so they said. The DSS brought him to court to come and testify, and yet they could not bring him to come and face judgment, face his trial. What are we talking about? The INEC itself, it is just been there dancing to the tune of the piper that pays them. That is all I can say about INEC. I have no iota of trust or belief that INEC will do the job. People must ensure that they stand firm to protect their votes. INEC can never protect our votes for us. INEC will, in fact, they are the ones that are going to ensure that they wreak all manner of violence on the people. They can make announcements given the opportunity for someone who has not even participated in the electoral process as the winner of an election. So people must ensure that they stand firm to guard and protect their vote. People must come out to vote, not because INEC has the integrity to protect anything, but people can protect their own and get their candidates declared as elected.
All right. Well, there you had it. The issues basically around elections in Nigeria, and
yes, it is.
Yeah, the challenges, of course, what we must do. There's so much you can do, really, and that's why it has to be more like a, if you like, division of labor. All right, it's not always about government.
No.
We need to talk about INEC. We need to talk about political parties. No matter how excellent the process becomes, INEC will not do the job of political parties.
Of course.
And political parties will not do the job of we and Jumai.
No.
All right. So in the end, it means we are all in this together.
Yes, we are.
We must commend when necessary, and when the need arises to also, if you like, highlight and call out anomalies and wrongdoings. We've got to do that because we were the ones who chose to practice democracy. There were other options in front of us, but then we chose democracy.
Yes, we did.
Therefore, we must take responsibility for what we do with this process, and of course, ultimately, the kind of outcome we want to see in 2027.
Yes, very important. And I like the fact that you mentioned that it takes all of us. It takes the politicians, political parties, it takes Nigerians, it takes INEC. Every one of us are in this together for the greater good of Nigeria. And of course, Nigeria is not an individual thing. No man is an island. It's for the progress and prosperity of Nigeria, to make it better and for us to move forward. It's very important. And having that leader that is chosen by us, that person that we trust, who is competent, who has all it takes when it comes to decision making. There's transparency, accountability, it's fair, it takes all of these things encompass. And it's very important that we understand that it takes you and I. We make a difference, our vote counts, so we must all go out to cast our votes and do the needful.
Well, we don't have a choice now, do we? And we must also appreciate the fact that, relatively speaking, we've come a long way.
Yes, we have.
It's been since 1999, right? We've had, I think at this point, at least about 7 general election cycles. Of course, on account of, as they call it, judicial interregnum, all of those interference or intervention by the judiciary, we now have off-cycle elections. But we've also seen how that we have moved from where we used to be to where we are. However, the challenge that most Nigerians have when they do the assessment is that we are not moving fast enough. We are not moving as close to where we should be as we ought to.
Very true.
And what we have done essentially on the program this morning, particularly with our guests, is to look at what those areas that need improvement are, so we can begin to put in the work real time. We all have a role to play in that process.
Yes, we do.
But then INEC is always in the eye of the storm because INEC is the umpire, INEC is the regulator.
Yes, they are.
INEC will be the entity to tell us who won, where, and how. Yes,
exactly.
it's very important. And INEC
has the data.
Right, of course it does, and it's paid to have the data.
Yes, it has.
And like our guest said yesterday, INEC has from now, has quite a number of months to convince Nigerians,
exactly,
especially under the leadership of Professor Josh Amoputo.
Yes.
Look, we can do right by our people. All right, we can deliver elections that are trustworthy, credible, transparent, free and fair. Right, we can convince you. We can give you value in terms of the job that we've been giving to you, and the results is made available to us. And that's why I also believe strongly that INEC has a responsibility to call out the bad eggs in its food. Because if one person or just a handful of persons decide to go south in terms of the mandate of the commission, what we see in the end is INEC. Not one man in one other local government, not one man in one other local government somewhere. It is INEC, we say INEC staff. Even when this person is just an ad hoc, if you like, member of the team. So INEC must be able to do the stick and carrot approach, which means that you commend and reward those people who are getting the job done, who are making INEC proud, who are writing INEC's name in gold.
Yes.
And then for those who say they want to do contrary, you also put them out there and subject them to the full weight of the law.
Very important.
Because if you do that, it becomes easy. Just like in the police, we say one policeman has done wrong. And you see the IGP saying, look, we have already, we've suspended this person, or we've called the person to order, or the person is being investigated, or the person has even been dismissed. You realize that over time, it helps to scale up the trust, the trust that the public has in the police. And we hope INEC will also learn from that and do right by the Nigerian people.
Very important. The INEC needs to prove to Nigerians that this particular electoral process is going to be free, fair, credible, transparent, and there is accountability is very important. A lot of hearsays, a lot of distrust, but I'm sure, like our guest said, I'm sure from now till then, I think we'll do the needful, and of course, under the leadership of the chairman, Professor Joshua Miputon. There's a long way to go, but at the same time, Nigerians are very nice people.
That's right.
Once you try and make it right, we'll support you 100%. Just do the needful, the right and needful thing that needs to be done when it comes to the electoral process. It's very sensitive, of
course,
but you must do the needful.
That's our program for you today, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and remember, as always, that the views of all of our guests across all of our programs are their opinions. I'm Uyi.
And I am Jumai Manson. Thank you so much to our guest, Barrister Sunday, for being a part of our program. And of course, from Uyi and I, we say bye-bye.